within the other table to that particular column. That's where we left off. Do you remember that? Okay, so one person remembers that. That's great. Two people. That's good. All right, and then you notice at this point that this reference that we've come up with, it doesn't have a name, right? So Oracle will actually go and assign a name for it. Now, we said that we could actually go and come up with a name by using the constraint keyword, which has been what we have done consistently. You know, the weather is pretty cold, is it not? You don't need this. Yeah, well, anyway. So, and then you come up with a name, and then once again, the same thing, references. And you also notice that as long as you just go ahead and refer to the table name by itself, that's sufficient, because it will know that it's supposed to go ahead and connect to the primary key of that table. So at this point, what we have here is we have the patient table, we have the disease table, we have the patient disease table, and what we're doing is we're taking the patient ID and we're taking the disease ID, and we're connecting that to the patient ID there and the disease ID to the disease ID for the disease table. Yes, that's what we're doing. And in the first case, when we're using the references, we not only identify the name of the table, but we identify the name of the column within that table. In the second scenario, we just say, hey, you know what? Why don't you go and take that disease ID and just connect it to table disease, and it knows automatically that it's supposed to connect it to the primary key. All right, and of course, there's a composite primary key that we have right there. And as we indicated, you're able to go ahead and confirm that something has happened here. Look at that. References. So the patient disease table has two foreign keys. And one of them, we didn't give a name. The other one, we did give a name. As to what this is, let's not worry about it for the time being. And that is the R constraint name. So take a look at this once again. One of them, we didn't give a name, this one. This one, we did give a name. And that's where that's coming from. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Yes?
If you created say like a reference without a name, can you go back and put a name in it?
Okay, so what occurs is the following. If you want to go ahead and do anything with your constraints, if you have a constraint that's already in place, but you don't like the way it looks, you want to change some attribute, and that attribute could be the name as well, then you have no choice but to go and drop the constraint and recreate the constraint. And how do you drop this constraint? Well, you need to go and find its name. And so this means you need to go against the user constraints table and find out what that name is, and we'll find out how it is that you disable constraint, how you eliminate constraints altogether. All right, so here we go. Because we've added those constraints, look at that. I can go ahead and put in, so there's a patient, there's a disease, and so something like this now makes sense, because that is connecting to the patient table, this is connecting to the disease table, and those two both exist. But then if I was to go to do something like this, 333, well, the foreign key constraint will protect me against putting in that bogus data. Or in this case, there's bogus data right there, and right over here, that would be a violation of the primary key because we've already inserted that piece of information in there. And when you actually go and violate the foreign key, take a look at this. It says it's been violated, okay? So there's that. Now, you know what? If you actually go ahead and have a patient table here and a disease table, and so this is patient 111, disease 11, and you have this person right here sitting in the patient disease, and you're going to go and say that 111 has got disease 11. And now let's just say that you're interested in deleting, okay? You want to go and delete records. So the question that we have for you is, can you go ahead and delete that one right there? Can you delete that record?
No.
No, why not?
It's connected with the other.
It's connected, okay? So this cannot happen. Can you go ahead and delete this?
No.
No, because that's also not happening. Can you can you delete that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So once again, the rule that you want to go and keep in mind is that you can kill the children, okay, but you cannot kill the parents. The children must be killed first, okay? Look at that. You kill the children, and only then the parents are freed up. And now the parents can actually leave, okay? So then you can go and get rid of that and get rid of that. But you cannot do it the other way around. Because these poor folks, they need someone to look over them. All right. So there is that. And so that's something to keep in mind. Now, we do want to go ahead and say that whenever you want to go ahead and get rid of stuff, this truncate is always a bad idea. So look at that. Truncate versus delete. Note you cannot use truncate table on a table referenced by a foreign key. Keep that in mind. So if I want to go ahead and let's just go back here, and I want to go ahead and truncate this, Oracle will complain. It says, no, you cannot do that. There's something about truncate in the way it works. So you have to go ahead and use the delete syntax. And so there is that. Now, here's the patient table. Here is the disease table. And there's the references. And there's the references. And there's all that. Okay, so we have all that. Okay. And here we're putting in all this stuff right here. Must truncate child table, can only truncate child table. Okay, so there's that. So anyway, there's all that stuff that we just talked about. So let's get over here. Now, let's just say that we do actually have this patient table, this disease table, and this patient disease, and we have 111, 11, and I have 111 and 11. And let's just say that you do want to go ahead and get rid of this record. And let's just say that you have one more right over here as well. Well, let's just say you have 1, 2 here as well. And you go ahead and do 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. And you can have actually another individual here as well, 1, 1, 2. Now, let's just say you go ahead and do something like this. If I want to go ahead and get rid of this, we said that that would not be allowed. Is that what we said? Or is that allowed?
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed, okay. Because you're trying to get rid of the parents without having gotten rid of the children first. However, you're able to go ahead and do a foreign key with this special provision. And the special provision is that, you know what, if you decide to go ahead and get rid of the parents, then we're going to go ahead and automatically get rid of everything that is connected with that parent. So, we could actually go ahead and get rid of this and have it automatically get rid of that and that, because 111 is associated with both of those. Now, what is the nice thing about doing this? The nice thing is at the end of the day, when we're done with all the deletion, the data still has preserved its integrity. How do we accomplish this? Well, there it is. When you go and say on delete cascade, on delete cascade. So you go ahead and use all the syntax with the foreign key as you had before. References, for example, patient, you can put the constraint keyword, whatever. But the minute you go ahead and put this, then the rules allow you to go ahead and get rid of something from the parent table, and if there are any connections, it'll just go out there, start doing a search and destroy on all the records that are associated with the child table. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't that make the child table useless, since it only has one data?
Well, in this case, yeah, but let's just imagine that you have this one right here as well, okay? And if you get rid of the 111, this means that that is eliminated, but of course that record is still there.
Okay.
Because with delete, you can go ahead and identify exactly which records you want to get rid of. Yeah? Okay, yes.
No. I
No.
was just stretching.
You were just stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we are good with that. Now, let's just say that once again you have the patient table, you have the disease table, and you have the patient disease table. Now, we know about data, of how you need to go ahead and get rid of the data that's sitting in the patient disease table, and then you can get rid of the data that's sitting in the patient table and the disease. What about when you want to go ahead and drop or eliminate the table completely? Which table can you go ahead and eliminate first? Or do you have to go ahead and eliminate first? Is there a sequence as to how you do it? So once again, it's not about the actual data, but rather the entire table. Which one would you go ahead and deal with first? The child table. So you get rid of this, and then after that, which one do you get rid of?
Parents.
Does it matter which parent?
No.
No, it doesn't really matter. Because mom and dad, they're both the same. Okay, so we get rid of this or that or whichever one you want. Okay, so that is what is going on. Now, you know, when you look at the syntax for foreign key, right here, have we created that syntax at the child level, or at the column level, or is it at the table level? What is this? Is it at the column level or is it at the table level? It's at the column level because well, that's not the only reason though. So you come over here, there is the column. Has the column definition ended? No, I don't see a comma. Has the column definition ended? No, I don't see a comma. I come over here, oh, now I see a comma. So now the column definition is ending. Yes? So I have defined this foreign key at the column level. The same thing is true with this. But we know that when you're creating constraints, you can go and create them both at the column level and at the table level, with a couple of exceptions, right? So we know that if you're looking at default and not null, these two have to be only at the column level. If you're looking at composites, unique your primary key, it only has to happen at the table level. Yes? So at this point, with the foreign key, you can do it at either level, table or column. So let's go and find out how that works. So here's the patient ID table and the disease ID table. And if you remember before, the syntax that we had looked something like this. You would not have that, and you would say references patient. That's how we had it before, isn't it? When we were defining a foreign key at the column level, we just said, hey, you know what, there's the column, and we continue on, and then we do that. So this is referring to the patient table. But now what if I don't want to do it at the column level, I want to do it at the parent level? So this part of it is still the same. References, patient, and then you have the on-delete cascade, okay, which is that extra thing that we talked about. But then you have this other piece as well. This is what happens when you're doing it at the table level. What do you think that extra piece is? Why would we actually have that at the table level? What do you think? What comes to mind? So, once again, this is how things are at the column level. We've decided to not go ahead and do this anymore. We want to go ahead and do it at the table level. But you notice there's a part of the table level syntax that looks very much the same. References, the name of the table, references, the name of the table. But we have this first piece that we've also added in there. What is the reason for that? Take a wild guess. What do you think? Anything would be good. One thing. One guess. Could be the wrong guess. That's okay. Is there anything that comes to your mind? One thing. Anything. Nothing comes to your mind. Well, this is really very disappointing. You know, when I go out and do a creativity, and I say column 1, let's say I say chart, and I say primary key. Yes? I go ahead and do that. And then I have column 2 and column 3. That's a chart. That's a chart. And then I go ahead and do a unique column 2, column 3. Yes? So that's a composite unique key that I just created. Would you all agree? Why did I go ahead and put column 2 and column 3 in there? I need to go, because it's a composite, right? You see, when I'm at the column level, right there, I can just say primary key, right? Because I already know that it's going to go ahead and operate on that column. That's a given. But when I get to the table level, all the columns have already been defined, haven't they? So I don't really know which columns are going to be associated with the unique constraint. Yes? Is that making sense? Now, when you go ahead and take a look at the foreign key, right there, I know that I'm going to go ahead and connect to the patient table. But the question is, which one of these things is going to go ahead and connect to the patient table? Do we know?
No.
We have no idea. Just like when we go ahead and create the unique, we don't really know which column is going to be part of the composite, because we're doing it at the table level, so we need to go ahead and give it all the information. When we're dealing with the foreign key, we've already said that it's going to go ahead and connect to the patient table, but what column in this table is going to connect? And so this is why we go and say, you know what? The patient ID is going to be the foreign key, and that is that patient ID. Are you with me on that? Or here is another one. Here's another one. Once again, the disease ID. We're saying, hey, you know what? The disease ID is our foreign key, and it's going to go and refer to disease. But we need to go ahead and give our foreign key a name, and so there it is. We use the constraint keyword and all of that. So what you're seeing here is there is the usage of the foreign key syntax and references syntax. The references says what table are you connected to. The foreign key syntax, as we have it right there, that's telling us in the given table which column is connecting to that other table. All right. And then here we go. Here's the table patient. Here's the table disease. Here's the table patient disease. And now let's just say that after the fact, I want to go ahead and connect. So if I want to go and do it after the fact, it's the alter table, patient disease table. And I want to go ahead and add. If you want to go ahead and add, what is the syntax? What would the syntax look like? Would it look like a table level syntax or the column level syntax? What do you think? What is it? Table level, right? When you're using add, the syntax that you will see looks like the table level. When you're using modify though, which I don't have an example for modify, it's going to look like the column level. And I understand, by the way, that, I mean, these are just a bunch of rules and you're trying to sort of memorize it, and it just takes a bit of time, okay? So when we go ahead and do add, table level syntax. So when we go ahead and do modify, column level syntax. Okay, at the column level, remember that it's a must for not null and for default. Table level, it's a must for composite. Then, for foreign keys, as part of the syntax, you need to go ahead and use the references keyword. And the references keyword, you only use this if it's at the column level. But at the table level, you need to go ahead and use both the foreign key syntax and the references syntax. So that's basically just a quick synopsis of how the syntax works.
So if it only has one syntax of the reference, it's only a column level. And if it has both,
I'm sorry, so if it has both this
yeah,
and that,
it's table.
then this means that you're doing it at the table level, okay? What also this means is that if you want to go ahead and use the alter table syntax, okay, and you want to go ahead and use add, as we said, its syntax is going to look like the table level syntax. And here's another one, alter table, and we're doing an add again. This time we're coming up with the name of the constraint, so constraint, whatever name you want to go ahead and give to it, and then you continue on with whatever the syntax looks like, which is identifying the column inside of the disease table that's going to be connected to the column inside the disease table. Okay. So now, at this point, we need someone to come up and help us out with this. So let's go ahead and get someone who, okay, so let me just, before we begin, let me go and share with you what we have in mind. So we have the person table and we have the personality. So here is the personality. So it could be that, you know, a person can have like a good personality, a person can have an ugly personality, and a person can have like nothing. Okay? And then here we have a person like John, and let's just say his personality is good. Jack, his personality is 2, which is ugly. Okay? So that's what we mean. So, and so we'd like to go ahead and have you create a foreign key relationship. And so where does the foreign key go? Does it go here or does it go here? Which table is it going to be in?
Personality.
Personality? Is that where it goes? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the relationship. Does it go on the one side or does it go on the many side?
Many
On the many side. So let's go ahead and find out. Can one person have more than one personality? Only if you have some kind of a psychosis, okay? But let's just imagine that people have either a good personality on the average, or people have a crappy personality, or whatever, okay? So we're gonna go and associate, because that's the way we actually judge people, right? We say, you know what, this person is a good person, or this person is a crappy person. So we're gonna go and say that a person can have only one personality. Can a personality be associated with many people?
Yes.
Yes. So there it is. There's the many side. So which table is going to go ahead and take the foreign key? The person. Because that's where the menu is. Okay. So now that we know, we're going to go ahead and create the foreign key on the table person. We're going to go ahead and do it at the table level, at the column table, and after the tables have been created, we'd like to go ahead and do all this. Now, you know, by the way, drop the foreign key constraint and recreate it with the delete cascade option. I don't think we've actually talked about how you delete a constraint. So before we get to that, let me just go ahead and share with you one more thing. When you are ready to go ahead and get rid of a constraint, or, well, you could actually completely eliminate a constraint, get rid of it permanently, or you could just disable it. So in this case, what am I doing? I am disabling it. And by the way, I don't use the name of the primary key, because how many primary keys do I have in a table? How many primary keys do I have? 1. So when I say primary key, it knows exactly what to go ahead and eliminate. Okay? When you go ahead and do this, you can go ahead and take a look at the constraint name, the constraint type, and the status from the user constraints table, and it'll tell you which constraints are enabled, which are disabled. Here we go. You could actually go ahead and enable the primary key again. You could disable the constraint, and then if you know the name, you can just go ahead and put in the name. You can disable this other constraint, and if you know it, just once again, just give it that. Here is enabling a constraint. You could also go ahead and disable a unique constraint if you know exactly what makes up the unique constraint. So that's a little bit more cumbersome, okay? And you can also drop. So look at that. Alter table, drop, constraint, and if you know the name of the constraint, you can just drop it. Or you could say alter drop primary key, or alter drop unique. So all of these are options to you. Now, why would you want to go ahead and disable the constraint? What do you think? Anything of some mind? So imagine as if you have table A. And table A's got all this data. Let's just say you have 1 million records. Okay? And this table has got a primary key. Okay? Now you want to go ahead and copy all of this stuff right here to this other table. You want to copy it. Now, when you want to go ahead and copy 1 million records from one table to another, and if you want to go ahead and make an exact copy, well, you probably have the columns defined here, and this column is a primary key. So as you are inserting, what do you have to go ahead and do with every single record? You need to make sure that what? The primary key has not been violated, right? Is that going to take time? Hell yeah, that's going to take a lot of time. So you don't have that kind of time. So what you could do is you could actually go and say, you know what? Right now I don't have the time, so let me disable it. So it's going to go ahead and just dump 1 million records in there without checking it. And that's all fine. Because we know that in this original table, with us having had the primary key, all the data is good. And maybe later on at night, when the whole system is shut down, we can actually go and say, let's go ahead and enable the primary key. But maybe, once again, when we're short on time, we could actually go ahead and disable it. And of course, for dropping, if you've created the primary key on the wrong columns, or you don't, need it anymore, then you can just sort of drop it. Or maybe if you want to go ahead and modify the name of the constraint, as we indicated, then you can go and get rid of it as well. So let's not worry about that. So let's just get back up here. And so let's see who wants to go ahead and do this. So yes, go ahead. Who wants to go ahead and come up here? Someone who hasn't done this before. We've had people who've come up here. Let's see. Have you come up yet?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Don't you think it's time for you to contribute something to this class?
I didn't bring my book with me.
You did not bring your book. Have you contributed already? Are you in a good place? We'll help you. We'll do it. Okay. What about you? You can do it?
No,
Oh, you've already contributed. What about you guys? You want to do it? No. Yes. You want to do it? Yeah. How you doing? You want to try it?
Maybe give it a try.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a try and see what happens. All right.
So we're gonna do number 1.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and do number 1. And so, of course, there's going to be lots of help available to you because this is a class that looks like they want to help. I mean, it doesn't look like it. It even doesn't feel like it. But I'm sure that at some point it'll happen. Okay, so we're going to go and do 1A. So given the tables, let's create the following key. So let's create the table. So which table should we create first? Person or personality? Personality. Why do you say personality?
Because we should, when you create person, at the table level we use constraint name for person who reference to personality.
Yes, because person is going to go and refer to personality. If you don't have a personality table, there's nothing to refer to. All right, so create table personality, and so let's just say that we have an ID and a description. And you can, you can just say, yeah. Okay. Okay, so he's making it a primary key, because if it's not a primary key, would you be able to go and create a foreign key? No. All right, what's the next item? So let's go and go with the description. So just desk, DESC. Okay. And then whatever the type is, it's some kind of a text. Okay, so we're done with that.
Doesn't create table have to be uppercase, or it doesn't matter?
Well, it's a convention, and so for readability purposes, it certainly makes sense. But of course, in this setting, it's just too much. But in your homework assignments, you want to go ahead and make sure you follow those conventions. Yeah. Okay, so that's the person ID, and that's a primary key. Okay, good. And then let's just say, just name by itself. You don't need an F name, L name, so just name. Okay. Now, in the table person, so let's just go ahead and do it in the table itself. So we want to go ahead and create a foreign key in the create table statement. So where would that go? Right there? Okay, good. And so we want to go ahead and do it at the table level. So here's where you guys can help out. Go ahead, don't be shy. What do you think? Look it up. Open up your books. What do you have? Do we put alter table there? Can somebody help out? What do we put? Foreign key, okay. It says with a constrained name though. Well, it's okay, let's go with that, foreign key. And then what do we put inside the parentheses? Okay, do we have a column at this point that's gonna go ahead and refer to something to the parent table? I'm sorry. Do we have that column yet? We have a person ID. Now, person ID is different from personality ID, right? So we're saying, John has got a person ID of 1, okay? But the personality ID is something else. It's the 1, okay? When we're looking at is, we're saying John, for example, he's got personality 1. This is Jim. He's got personality 1 as well, okay? So this is personality ID, whereas this is per ID. So per ID is going to go in and just sort of uniquely identify this row, but this right here is the foreign key. So do you like what you're seeing at this point? You like it? You like it. Keep going. Well, do we even have personality ID defined inside of the person table?
No.
No.
Do we need to have it defined?
Yeah.
Because that's a column, and we're going to go ahead and put stuff in there, right? I need to go ahead and store a 1 in there. Yes? So there are 3 columns here. There's a person ID, there's a name, and there's a personality ID. We need that other column to be also in this table, right here. So forget this right here. Okay, so we'll keep that. But right after this, you want to go ahead and create another column. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Why? Why do you say yes?
Because
you need to store the information to relate to the personality table.
That's right. So, so what do you suggest he do right now?
Personality ID number.
Okay. So personality ID.
And then number foreign key, right?
Okay. Number. Okay. Now hold on.
That's
Now
right.
we are saying let's go ahead and do this at the table level. This would be at the column level, right? So, and then do we need a comma anywhere else?
After the workshop two.
Okay, so right there, that's a comma, right? And can we have a space right there? No, Oracle doesn't like that, so we need to get rid of that space. Okay, and now let's continue on with the rest of it. Okay, so do we put constraint right there? Or no? If you want to go ahead and come up with a name, you come up with the name first and then you continue on. You don't do it later. So let's get rid of that. Okay, what is the syntax in your book? Open up your book. What does that syntax look like? References, okay. And then references what? Person, is it personality ID? What is it? Personality, just the table itself. Okay, and do I need to go and identify the name of the column? I do? No. So what's the answer? Is it yes or no?
No.
No. But can I? Okay, what if I wanted to? What would I do? What is it? Oh, parentheses. Okay, let's go ahead and have parentheses. Well, no. Oh, well, actually, yeah. References personality. Let's get rid of that underscore. Okay, so parentheses. Okay, so there it is. We're being very specific. We're saying this column in this table, which is what this means, is going to go and refer to the personality table, specifically the personality ID. So we've made that connection, haven't we? Now, there's still one thing that's missing out of this, right? What is that thing that's missing? We need to go and give it a name. What is it? No semicolon yet. Constraint keyword. Where does the constraint keyword go? After personality, you mean where? Here? Or where? In the beginning. So right there, you use the constraint keyword. And okay, so you come up with some name. What would be a good name?
Table name and then the column.
Table name, person, column name, personality ID, and then what?
And then
And then what? Type, which is what? FK, that is correct. Okay, that's great. That is a table level constraint. Okay, so we're thinking, so can you just go ahead and just make a copy of this right here? So just copy this and put it down here. Just the table person. And just right below it, just go ahead and paste it. Right here. Yeah. Okay. Just paste it in there. Control V. Okay, all right. Just hit the enter key a bunch of times so that we bring it all to the next page. Okay, good. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of the foreign key. So let's just go down. And all this constraint stuff that you created, all of this, let's just get rid of that. Okay, now let's go ahead and create the foreign key at the column level. All right, so somebody all the way in the back. Okay, yes sir, all the way in the back. What do you think? How do we do it? We're creating the constraint, the foreign key all the way in the back.
Like at the table level?
At the column level, because we already did the table level, right? So we want to go and do it at the column level. How do we do it?
Okay, what are we referencing?
What do you think? What is the foreign key? Which one of these columns?
What was the previous table?
Let's go to the previous. So the previous table, its name is personality.
Okay. And it has two columns, an ID and a description, right?
Right.
Okay. So personality ID in this table would be the foreign key.
Okay, good, good, good.
Okay, so after number, I would add a constraint.
Okay, so you want to go ahead and give it a name, all right?
Like the word constraint. Is this going to be named?
Well, if you come up with constraints, if you use that keyword, then you're going to give it a name. Okay, so let's just say that you call it, I don't know, just whatever name, just put in FK. Whatever, so that's just something. Okay, all right, and then let's go ahead and move on with the rest of it. What's the rest of the syntax?
I would add a foreign key.
Do we need a foreign key syntax? Do we need the word foreign key? Yes? 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 No.
Refer to?
No. Well, so at this point, we've just come up with a name for this foreign key. Look at that, it just says references. Why do we not need the foreign key syntax? Because, you see, we already know what column is going to be making up the foreign key, don't we? We are on the column. We are not done with that definition yet. You only go ahead and use the foreign key syntax if you are done with all the definitions and you're doing things at the table level. Okay, and do we want the references personality ID? Do you like that? Just personality. So first you need to come up with the name of the table. And is that sufficient? Do I need to go and identify anything else? What was that?
Underscore
Uh,
constraint, the type of the constraint.
okay, so what do you want us to do?
The constraint is FK.
Constraint F, well, that's just some name.
Name and underscore,
Uh,
and the type of the constraint, which is for
So that's just a name, okay? Let's just not worry about the name. You know, can you go and just take that FK and just call it crap? Okay, this is just to go ahead and no, make it lowercase because that's not a reserved word, right? So this is just to go ahead and say that that's just a name, and you can come up with whatever name you want. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we said we can call it crap underscore FK. Okay, we could do that, but that's just some name. The question is, given what we have now, is that enough, or do we need more?
No, we need the type of constraint.
Well, we already know the type is, it says references.
So we don't need that underscore FK after crap?
No, that is just part of a convention that we just use. We said it would be nice so that when people are looking at the name, they would know what that is, but it's by no means mandatory. So, yes, do we need anything else here? You can look at your books. I mean, it's there as a reference. What do you think? When you're doing things at the column level, do you need anything else? So she's saying, let's go ahead and put a column. Column name. What do you think? Can somebody give us a definitive answer by looking at your books? The foreign key section, it's only like 2 pages, so you don't have to like flip through too many pages.
You don't need the comma after personality.
You don't need a comma, okay, so we know that because that's the very last item, right? Okay, so we know that.
Or parentheses.
What do you need parentheses? Where? Here? Okay, and then what do you want to put there?
That column name.
The column name, okay? So she's saying, let's go ahead and put, and the column name would be what?
The personality ID.
Personality underscore ID. Okay, so we're saying, hey, personality ID in table person, why don't you go in and refer to the personality table, specifically within that table, go to that column right there. Is this a must, or is this
No.
just an option?
We should already know this is the primary key.
That's right, so that's an option, right? It's optional. Yes, so can I go and get rid of it?
Yes.
Let's get rid of it. Okay, so what do you think? Are we done with that? Okay, so let's go ahead and find out what else we need to go ahead and do. Let's go up just a little bit more, because I think there's one more thing that we have to go ahead and do. It says after the tables have been created. So let's just go down again. And let's just make a copy of this table, create table person, and let's just go ahead and put it down right below it. Okay, get rid of the constrained crap references personality, just completely get rid of that. Okay. Now, why don't we go ahead and use the alter table syntax now to create the foreign key. Not there, we're done. So you just get out of that whole thing. So come down here now. The alter table syntax is another syntax. So in essence, for the, you could put a semicolon there and that. But okay, so alter table. So what does that look like? Which table are we changing? Person, okay. And does that name have to be uppercase or lowercase?
Since we've already created it lowercase. Right?
Yeah, the stuff that we create, okay, it's all lowercase. Okay, so person add foreign key. So this syntax that he's typing, what will the syntax look like? Will it look like what? Can we just copy the syntax from somewhere else? Which one? Where? What is it? What'd you say? Table level. Do we have a table level foreign key constraint that we've already created? Well, this is not table level, that's column level, right? If we go up, oh, here we go. What does it look like? All of this, right? We can just take the entire thing if we want to give our constraint a name. Okay, let's copy that. Okay, and okay. All right, what do we think about that? That's good, right? Now, what happens if instead of add, I want to go ahead and do modify? So let's just do alter table person modify. And by the way, does he put a comma here, or does he need to put something else? These are all semicolons, right? Because that's a complete statement. The create table, after we're done, that's a complete statement, so we're done with that as well. So alter table, person, okay, modify. Modify. What kind of syntax does that look like? Column level, okay? So do we have a column level constraint that we've already created?
Yeah.
Yes. Where is it?
Constraint graph.
Okay, up here, right? That's column level. Let's copy that. Copy the entire thing, that entire line. Okay, now there's only one thing. Are we modifying the type? No, let's take out the type. Are we good now? Yes, we're good. We've created a foreign key in all the 4 ways that we can create the foreign key. At the table level, at the column level, after the fact, that looks like, the add and the modify. Looks like you're exhausted. Have you done too much? Are you okay?
I probably learn it a lot better doing it up here. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm concentrating more.
All right. Okay, so let's just go down. Okay, let's go ahead and do an insert. Okay, I want to go ahead and confirm this. So what do you recommend I do to confirm this? Yes, let's go ahead and just go to someone who wants to go and share with us something. Yes, in the back here. What do you think? Are you reading a book? What the heck is going on here? All right, what do you think? How do we actually go and confirm a foreign key? How do you verify if that foreign key actually is correct or not? How do you do it? What is the syntax? Let's go to someone else. Yes, sir. What do you think? Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. So, can you go ahead and help us out with this? Insert.
Insert into person. Values.
Okay. Okay, so we're putting stuff into the person table. Is that where we put stuff in first, or do we put it somewhere else? Which table do we put the information in first?
Personality.
Personality, right? Because that is the what? Is that the parent or the child?
Parents.
That is the parent. We put the stuff in the parent. Because if you don't define your personalities first, then there's nothing to go and put in the person table. If you want to go and say that someone has got a good personality, good as a personality must be defined already. So let's go ahead and go into the personality. Okay, values. And then do we put in John there? Is that what the personality is? Or what is it?
Good, ugly.
Okay, so there's an ID first that we need to go ahead and put in. Let's just go ahead and put in whatever ID you want. 1, okay, or 1, that's okay, whatever. And then you need to go ahead and describe what that is.
Good.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next piece. Okay? So at this point, let's go ahead and confirm this. So what is the next insert statement? What is it?
Insert into person value.
Okay, so we are putting in things now into the person table. And so what do we put in there?
John.
John. Well, so you've already identified that, we have a person ID as well. So you need to go ahead and put in some person ID as well for John. So I don't know, whatever ID you want to come up. Okay, 111, good. And now at this point, you need to go ahead and say that John's got a good personality. So you put in 1. Okay, so that makes sense. That's how you verify. What if you want to go ahead and violate the foreign key? How do you violate it?
Duplicate.
Duplicate? Well, if you duplicate, what would you be violating? No?
The pri-
That would be violating the primary key. What if you want to go ahead and violate the foreign key constraint? Put a what?
Nobody.
No. What else? What else comes to mind?
No.
What is that?
No.
No? That's what she just said. Give me something else. What is another way that you could actually go and violate the foreign key? Well, let's see. Where is the foreign key? Given this thing right here. Which one of these values is the foreign key? 1. Okay. So, has this been already defined? Yes. What if you put a foreign key that's not been defined? Like what? Like 2. If you put a 2, is that violating it? Yes, it is. That's a violation right there. All right. Okay, so there is that. Now it says drop the foreign key constraint and recreate it with delete cascade. So how do you drop a foreign key?
Drop table.
Well, what if we don't want to drop the table? We just want to go and drop the foreign key. Okay, so there's the alter table, okay? And the name of the table that contains the foreign key is what? Person. Person, okay, good, okay. And then when you want to go and drop a constraint, what is the syntax? Drop, space, constraint. And then what else goes after that? Because there are many constraints that the table has, right? We want to go and drop that one constraint. How do we drop the one constraint?
Its name.
With its name. That's the reason why we came up with the names. Okay, so what is the name of the constraint?
Person underscore persons underscore ID.
What is it?
Personality underscore ID.
Well, at this point, right now, what is the name of the constraint? Based on the very last time that we did it. Is it person, personality, or crap? That's right, that's what that is.
Oh.
Okay, so there we have it. Okay, now, so we need to go and recreate it with the delete cascade. So let's just say that we go ahead and recreate it using the alter table syntax. So let's just copy and paste since you've already done it, right? Because you went ahead and created a foreign key using, yeah, there it is. Okay, so we just need to go ahead and do the delete cascade option. How do you go ahead and put the delete cascade option on there? And what does the delete cascade do for us?
We can delete the foreign key and the primary key and all of this.
So we're deleting the data, right? So if you delete the data, so for example, if I go ahead and delete John, then it goes in there, oh actually not John, if I delete good, in this case, because that's where the parent is. If I delete good, it's gonna go into this table and it's gonna go and remove anybody who's good, which is both John and Jim. So, is it just delete cascade or is there something else that we need on as well? On, so we need the on keyword as well. So on delete cascade. All right, so it says all of that. Okay, so insert and delete, so to verify, so we don't have to worry about that. And then truncate both tables, and that's just, what is the syntax for truncating tables? So we'll just do number 5. What is the syntax for truncating tables? What does that look like?
Truncate table, personality ID, right?
Okay, personality, is it ID?
I think just the table here.
The table name, right? That's a column. We need to go ahead and truncate a table. Okay. All right. So I think we can say you've done it. All right, well, thank you, sir. Okay, good. All right, so this was painful for everyone, including myself. All right. We'd like to go ahead and see more participation from you guys, because if you don't participate, then nothing matters here. Because if you're just sitting staring at this, it means nothing, okay? And of course, keep in mind that what is happening here, I should mention, that this is kind of, a give and take on both of our sides. Because if I see, for example, that there is not enough of a reaction from you, then I will have to go ahead and start saying, okay, so let me go ahead and do a quiz or something, okay? So we want to go ahead and make sure that we're being interactive so that we don't have to resort to those kinds of things. So anyway, let's go ahead and just see now what is going on with your assignments. Let's come over here and let's go to Canvas. And in here, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I think we've already identified some of the due dates involved with this. So let's go to the assignments. All right. Now, so we have a group constraint, we have a group insert, okay, we have a group create. Okay, so these things, you need to go and just look out for the dates on these things. And then also you will notice that what we have here is a homework 1 create and a homework 2 insert. Now, whereas the group assignments, you're going to be working on them together. The homework assignment, you actually go and work on them independently. But let me go and share with you one thing that you'll be doing for the homework assignment that's going to be a little different. So for the homework assignment, when you go ahead and bring up the document, you will find that I ask you to go ahead and do something. And so let's go and find out what it is. What I ask you to do is, let's just say you're working on the 3 tables, the patient table, the patient disease table, the disease table. I say that before you get started with the table, the names are going to be modified. So in your case, when you're creating your tables, it's not going to be just patient. It's going to be the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters of your last name, then underscore patient. So I want you to go ahead and prefix your table names with the first 5 letters of your last name. Okay? So, and so here would be an example. Well, there it is. So here I create this table, create table SAT3 test. Okay? So there it is. So make sure that you're prefixing all of your tables for the homework assignment. So there is that. So the other piece that I wanted to go and share with you, this class is over when? Is it over now?
It's been over 1 minute.
Has it been already over? How many of you need to leave right now? Well, then you need to leave. I guess we're done. Okay, well, there you have it. You know what these deliverables are, so good luck to you. Okay. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.